Hey guys, welcome back to another week-long foundation demo. This week I'm going to be showing you the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, which I finally got in the color Snow. So, hooray! Last summer I wore this a little bit, but that was when Porcelain was the lightest shade, and it really only works for me in the summer. So, I now have a shade that works for me. It's what I'm wearing right now. I think it matches pretty well. We will see how it works. I have been wearing this a fair amount recently, so I do already have some opinions formed about it, but I want to give you a fair week-long review so you can see what you think, how it wears under different circumstances, all of those situations. So, I will jump right in. Day 1, Monday. I got a pimple on top of a mole. I'm very angry about this whole situation, but we'll ignore that as best we can. I'm gonna use one pump. When I use a brush, I try to use a little less, but I'm going to use a beauty blender today. I want to make this look as natural as possible. I really, especially when I'm teaching, and especially just right now at this point, I'm really just into super natural looking makeup, so I'm gonna see how natural I can make this look. So that's one pump applied with a beauty blender on my face. Let me zoom you in so you can see what the texture looks like a little better. The closer you get, the bigger my nose is. Anyway, I think it looks honestly pretty good. At this point, it's not really clinging to any areas or anything weird. I know on day 1 I usually go without any primer, which I did do, and I also usually go without any powder, but this just, it needs powdered, it really does. So I am going to put on just a little bit. This is the Steely Style Beautifully Matte, which honestly is not the most matte. It's really more of a satin, and it does have maybe just a teensiest bit of coverage, but not really enough to speak about. I'm going to go finish the rest of my face and I'll be right back. Just so you kind of know what I put on my face for blush, I used the Josie Maran Cheek Gelée. This is in the shade Berry Bliss. It's super subtle, but I'm into that right now. My eyeshadow is this little quad from Lorac. I think this was a holiday thing a couple years ago, but basically it's just these 3, but mostly just this one. I love this quad. It's super pretty. And then my lips is like my go-to favorite of all time, the Givenchy Le Rouge in Mandarin Bolero. I freaking, like, if I ever have to pick something, I almost always just reach for this because it's so easy. It always looks great. I love it. That is what my face looks like Monday afternoon as I'm getting ready to go to work. It is currently 2:40. Here's a close-up so you can see what it looks like as it sits on my face, but I'm relatively happy with it today. I really am. So we will see how it looks in a couple hours. It's 8 o'clock. Here's just a quick check-in. We are headed out to my parents-in-law to have dinner and watch a basketball game or something. So this is what it looks like at 6 hours, and I will be back shortly again. It is now 10:30 at night. I have had this foundation on for pretty much exactly 8 hours, and honestly, it looks good. It is pretty dang shiny, especially here at the top of my forehead and across the center of my face. I'm very, very shiny, like in my nose area. That is not just the lights, that is what my face looks like. But, you know, out here I don't get oily and this all looks perfectly normal. I think that it would be pretty easy to just blot it, powder it, move on. Plus, it's 8 hours of wear. That's kind of to be expected. Up close, it looks really good. It doesn't look powdery, it doesn't look cakey. It's not settling in around my nose too badly. So honestly, all things considered, I think it looks really good for 8 hours of wear with no primer and very, very little powder. It is not an oil-controlling foundation, so that's kind of to be expected. It is shiny, but that's what skin does, so it doesn't bother me. Again, I was going for a pretty natural skin look today, and that's what it is. So it doesn't look like I'm wearing a lot of foundation, which is great. This lipstick, by the way, has been on 8 hours as well, and I ate dinner and I talked for a couple hours at work. So considering that, I think it still looks great. It would be really easy to touch up. And it still feels good too, so just so you know. So that is the end of day 1. This is 8 hours of wear. I will insert a close-up here. I am very happy with that, so I will be back again. Tuesday, day 2. That is so dumb. Today I am going to start with a primer. I'm using the Benefit Porefessional today to make sure that all of my surface texture is taken care of, and also it is a little better at oil control than nothing. So I'm going to once again use pretty much exactly 1 pump of Born This Way and a beauty blender. I want to keep my application method the same as I change a couple other things so that we can make sure that it is in fact the primer that's changing it and not just the fact that I'm using a brush instead or something. So that looks pretty good. It looks really natural. There's still just a little bit of like redness and texture kind of showing through in places where I have that, which again, I'm fine with when I'm going for a natural, very skin-like look, and that's what I like about this foundation. I like that it has a very skin-like finish, so I'm going to be happy with that for now. Let's go ahead and put on a little bit of concealer under my eyes. I keep putting it next to that because I don't want to get bacteria in here. I'm just blending in my concealer with a big fluffy crease blending brush. That's too big for my eyes. Before I powder, I'm going to put on a little bit of the Josie Maran Cheek Gelée in Berry Bliss. And then for powder today, I'm using the Innisfree No Sebum powder, which is a really good oil controlling powder. So I'm hoping that it will help control a little bit of that production for the next few hours. That is my skin pretty much finished. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my face, and then I'll be right back for close-ups. Here is my face all done. My eyes today are the Naked 2 Basics with the lid is a shimmery shade from my Makeup Forever trio. I do have on half lashes. This is the second half. I took a full lash and I cut it in half. So I have lashes on here. I don't know why. I was just feeling it. Anyway, and my lips are Lolita 2. I will probably put a gloss on this later, but we'll see when I see you later. Anyway, right now it is 1:38. 1:38. This is what my skin looks like. It looks really good right now. Very matte. It's more matte than it was yesterday at this point. It's a pretty natural, real, it's not natural. It's a real looking, like, believable skin. How about that? So, which is usually what I prefer, as I have said like 1,000 times. So, I'm going to go sit on the porch and drink my sparkling water and read for a little bit. I'm going to go to work. I'll probably be back in 7 or 8 hours. So, I will see you then. It's Tuesday night at just about 11 o'clock, and I am very happy with how my foundation looks today, actually. It is, I think, slightly less shiny than last night. Still fairly shiny, you know, through here, down into my nasolabial folds, you know, down the bridge of my nose and through here, but like my chin isn't shiny. Again, as always, I don't get oily out here. But it looks, I can't speak. I think it looks fine. I mean, there's obviously some redness showing through, but there was redness showing through when I put it on. I don't feel like it looks worse in that case than it did earlier. So what I'm going to do is tell my dog to chill. Ralph, chill. I love you. I'm going to take a Boscia blotting cloth. These are the fresh blotting linens. And see what I can get to happen here. Yummy. So that's a pretty full cloth. But honestly, after 9 hours of wear, that should not be surprising, I don't think. And yeah, it looks a lot better already. Like, all of that oiliness is gone. I do think that it makes it a little more obvious where it has gone a little patchy through the center, but that's where you take a little bit of powder. This is the Innisfree powder that I used earlier. And just powder through the center of your face. And get rid of that big old part of the white cast. If this were a tinted powder, it would probably help even more. But honestly, considering the situation, considering this is not an oil control foundation, considering that I had that on for 9 hours, considering I did not touch up once, I think that went pretty well. So anyway, I will be back once again. P.S. This lipstick, Lolita 2, no touch-ups, no gloss, no nothing. Still feels pretty good, actually. It still looks really good. I ate dinner with this on, so I even had ice cream. Yeah. Awesome. Wednesday, day 3. I have to leave for work in half an hour, so we're going to be quick about this today. I do want to see if I can manage to make my skin not get oily by the end of the day, or at least not let my foundation look oily by the end of the day. So, I'm going to use this Bare Minerals primer. It is the Mattifying Prep Gel. I don't typically use this because it does break me out, so this is the only day I'm going to try this week, but sometimes you gotta go for the big guns. And to apply my foundation today, I'm going to use the Pro Airbrush Blender Brush. It's the number 78 from Sephora. It's nice because it covers really big areas of your face really quickly. It doesn't have quite as good a finish as the Beauty Blender though, so I am going in and just tapping my finger over any places that have brush strokes or that I want just a little bit more coverage. Before we powder, I'm going to put on my concealer. And I'm going to be powdering with a Laura Mercier Matte Translucent Setting Powder. This does say Shine Control. So this should, hopefully, be doing something in terms of not letting me get oily by the end of the day. And I am applying this a bit more liberally than I typically would. Alrighty, on my eyes, I use the Gwen Stefani palette. I use like 2 colors. It is the laziest eye makeup I've ever done. And my lips is a little Kat Von D liquid lipstick in the shade Berlin, which I am very happy with. Kat Von D wore so well for me yesterday, I just don't want to have to think about it, so putting it back on today. Now, as one final step in the let's hope this doesn't get gross by the end of the day, I'm going to try the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. If I had Scandinavia, I've heard such good things about Scandinavia. I really want to try it, but this is the best one I've got. The only other setting spray I have is Dewy Finish from NYX, and that's sort of the opposite of what we want today. Okay, right now I think my skin looks super, super flawless. It has just the tiniest bit of a satin right through here, so it's not like painted on my face, but I think it looks really, really, really nice right now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it still looks like this when I get to show it to you several hours from now. It is currently 2:15, so just so we have a baseline, this is what I'm at today with as many oil controlling products as I could possibly muster. It is Wednesday evening at 10:37, so I've had this foundation on for about 8 hours today, and I do think it is slightly better than previous days. I still don't think that it's perfect. It is still relatively shiny through the center of my face where I get oily. I think you can pretty much tell that. But in terms of wear, I think that it has worn better. I think it's less patchy than it has been in the last couple days. So I guess it's worth it to put in all that extra work, except that I'm really lazy and I want my foundation to not be high maintenance. So there's that. Let me go ahead and blot one more time today and see if that helps again. Yeah, I do think that looks less patchy than it did last night when I blotted. And I also think that probably even just doing a little bit of this with my foundation brush would be enough to help kind of mesh everything back together. So realistically, again, it's not like it's impossible to work with foundation. If it does get oily, it's easy enough to fix with some blotting paper. I'm just not the kind of person who wants to carry around blotting paper and powder with me all day because I'm just not a touch-up in the middle of the day kind of person. I'm really not. Like, this lipstick I put on this afternoon, it's been there all day. I talked at work, I ate pizza, and I'm just living with it at this point. Like, I probably wouldn't touch it up unless I really, no, I just wouldn't. I really wouldn't because that's who I am. So the takeaway from this is, yes, I like this foundation. I really love the finish. The finish looks super skin-like as long as you don't put on too much. If I use more than one pump, it gets gross. But if I use a pump or less, it looks really beautiful. It sits perfectly on the skin. The finish is gorgeous. But if you have oily skin and you don't like that, then this is not the foundation for you. I have combination skin. I am dry from here out. Anything below my cheekbone is dry. Or at least normal. And then anything here, where I've been getting shiny the last couple days, is relatively oily. I don't mind that so much. At the end of an 8-hour day, if I'm a little bit shiny, that's because people get shiny. And it still looks good. It's still fully covered. It still looks like a foundation color, not like a big blotchy red mess. So I don't mind it. But if you hate that, this is not the foundation for you. It's not a long-wearing foundation. It's not an oil-controlling foundation. But that's fine because it doesn't say that it is. So that is kind of my takeaway from this. I really like it, but it definitely has its uses and its places, and it also has places that it is not meant to be used for. So if you have dry skin, I think you would probably love it. I really do. Honestly, I'm not sure what else I would do at this point unless you really just want to see me pile it on and make it look cakey and gross, but I don't want to have to walk around with cakey, gross foundation on for a couple days. So I will say using more than a couple pumps is not a good idea. More than a pump, not really a good idea, at least in my experience. It gets really cakey and gross looking very quickly that way. I think that's pretty much everything. My skin type is oily combination. It is not oil controlling. if you're okay with that, I think it's really, really beautiful. But if you want something that's going to be more long wearing and that's going to control any oil production you have over a long day, this is probably not the foundation for you. That being said, I think it's beautiful. I'm very, very happy to have it in my collection. It is one that I have been reaching for consistently recently. So I personally love it, and I'm willing to deal with the shininess across the center of my face. So thank you so much for watching this little long-term foundation review. I know I didn't go a whole week, but I feel like you've pretty much seen everything there is to see from this foundation. So if there is anything else that you would like to know about it, let me know in the comments down below, and I will happily let you know what I know, or maybe do a little Instagram video about it, or whatever else you would like to see. I can do a follow-up even if there are a bunch of questions, but I really think that that pretty much covers all of the uses for this foundation. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more if you like this kind of video. I'm trying to do these for a lot of my foundation, then also multiple looks from eyeshadow palettes, like using one palette for a whole week. I haven't done one of those in a while, but it is on my list of things to keep working on. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!